Coming into the replay, Mark, who do you fancy?
It's a tough question, Shane. I think that everything has to go right for us to win. We were outstanding in the drawn match, and you know what, with a bit of luck we would have had a few more goals, and I think had we those goals we would have won the match. These young lads, they show no fear whatsoever. If you're young, if you're 21, 22, you know, you go out and you just play the game with abandon, you just go for it. And I think that we have a great opportunity now again. Everything has to go right for us, as I say. David Moran has to produce what he produced the last day. I think if we do that, I think we have a great chance. We have to take our chances when we're in front of goal. If we take those, I think we have a great chance of winning it.
And you'd know, I suppose, plenty of these players through even just like being a joint manager or player manager in the past couple of years. Which of these players would you know best, and what qualities are they bringing?
Well, look, we've seen the likes of the David Cliffords, the Shawnee Shays came up against Shawnee Shay in a relegation battle to see who'd go down to intermediate, and he is the real deal. You know, he's a fantastic player, left and right, and the temperament he has for the game, it's phenomenal. We all know how good David Clifford is, you know, but there's young lads there, the likes of Tom O'Sullivan from Dingle, lads who've come in, Tyg Morley, who's gone from the half back line to the full back line, performed very well. Jason Foley, all these lads, Gavin Crowley at centre back, they're all doing very well. The Spillans have done well, hard workers. Adrian's such a hard worker, so you know it's a team effort, I suppose, but these lads have come in and they've really added to the team.
Would you be thinking Stephen O'Brien go on Jack McCaffrey, because with 1-3 from play, the only guy to score from playing the second half up until Rock in the 73rd minute or something?
I'd agree with you, and I said it earlier that I think that Stephen is the man for him. I think that to mark Jack McCaffrey, you have to have a fella that puts him going the other way. Stephen O'Brien has the pace, he has the physicality, and I think he's the one fella that could possibly, now that said, Jack got a point off him as well, you know, so but he's the one guy I think that could trouble Jack, and we need to do something different. We got a lot of things right the last day, and if we can just tie Jack McCaffrey down, it's a big ask, but if you can tie him down, you know, you've a great chance.
Is there a danger in not changing the 15 at all?
Yeah, possibly, and the same could be said for both teams, although I could see a few changes in the Dublin team.
Yeah, everyone's talking about changes, and even James McCarthy going to midfield if
possibly, yeah.
fit
well, I think that when James McCarthy went back full back, it took away from the physicality Dublin had around that middle area, and they certainly were, like Sean O'Shea kicked 2 points when James McCarthy went back full back, so it'll depend. And then again, you know, Michael Dara McCauley probably more dangerous coming off the bench. So from a Kerry point of view, you know, the one area where you'd feel that Kerry needed to match the Dubs was your sub-bench, bringing fellas off the bench. And it's an area where Dublin had the upper hand on us over the last few years. But I think with the likes of Jack Sherwood, Tommy Walsh, these fellas coming off the bench, Killian Spillane, they've been outstanding, and the influence they've had when they've come off the bench has been phenomenal. Killian Spillane kicking a goal and a point. So I think that if we can keep that going, have an influence when we come off the bench, I think we've a great chance.
With Tommy Walsh, a lot of people will be talking, geez, you have to start him, the impact he made, but would he make the same impact against a team that's fresher at the start of the game, and also he never had to worry about a sweeper being around him, and if the ball breaks off him, is he as likely to collect it then?
It's a hard question, because you see, he's the one player that gives the Dublin team something different to think about, and you know, you nearly have to have a man marker, possibly the likes of Philly. You could see him there if he's fit. So it's hard to know, but I don't think Jim Gavin will be putting James McCarthy back again, because you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, kind of. So I would imagine that he'd be around the middle eight, particularly maybe midfield. And as I said, Michael Dara coming off the bench, he's explosive, he's a real handful coming off the bench, and I think Jim Gavin might go back to that.
Are you missing the football on weeks like this? I was even talking to Darren O'Sullivan. He was telling me about some row he had at training once, and Mikey Sheehy just laughing at the two. Actually, do you even recall that?
I do, yeah. Look,
what happened?
It's a bit of crack in training. Do you know what? Myself and Darren were such pals that we weren't really going to go at it. But Mikey was up in the terrace and he was looking at us, and I think it gave definition to the meaning of handbag stuff. But that's exactly what it was. We weren't overexerting ourselves, but we were rooming with each other for a bit as well. So I don't think it'd be an awkward place to come back to if we were hitting each other belts, you know. But And that's usually what would happen in training. You'd be hitting belts off each other, and it's probably the way to go, because when you come out onto the field, that's the way to go. But you'd have to get close to Darren to give him a belt. Anyway, he was too fast to get a hold of.
He said you were fairly quick with the mouth too, that you were in some hotel once and you were out in the hall in the middle of the night making noise, and then people would be coming out and you were saying, did you hear that noise too? Does that ring a bell?
He's definitely making that up now. He's talking nonsense there now, which that happens in your old age, isn't it?
But are you missing being involved in football and with Kerry at this point? You know, a week like this, game like this.
Geez, do you know, the first year when I retired, I certainly missed it. It was hard to kind of let go, particularly when you're involved with a team for 16 seasons. You know, so from that point of view, I did miss it. But no, certainly not. No, because do you know what? I went back to my club. I was playing with my club for 2 years. Retired now, and last Sunday went up to Croke Park. You're a supporter, you're like the rest, and you're just, you know, urging your team on. But no, do you know what? I'm happy now. I don't miss it now, particularly the training, the way it's gone. It's full on. It's 5 nights a week, and that's the way it was happening when towards the end of my career. So really enjoyed it, great memories, and looking forward to Saturday now to see that Kerry get over the line.
And speaking of age, Dublin the last day were on average 3 years older than Kerry, and also 6 of their 11 subs were over 30 years of age. Is that relevant?
Well, it is, because I suppose the bench coming in, and Jim Galvin will probably change this for the final, but the bench coming in aren't probably having the same impact as they once had when the likes of McMenamin was coming on kicking goals for fun.
It just shows how late he's bringing them in. That trust them as
but
much.
I think Kerry brought Dara Moynihan in the 72nd minute, if I'm not mistaken. So when you see, look, 8 minutes going up on the clock, you're going to say there's plenty of time left. But yeah, there's you know, that's the one area where I suppose Jim Gavin will look at is his bench and trying to. But getting back to the average age, I think that Kerry's age is young. Dublin, and the most important point is the 1 to 15. It is only around 24, 25, and they're that bit more experienced than Kerry. So, but again, from a Kerry point of view, you know, when you're the 22, 23, you show no fear and you just go for it. So hopefully we'll see that from Kerry on Saturday.
What do you make of Paul Galvin taking over with Wexford? He's after been ratified for 2 years.
Yeah, look, I think Paul he has views about football, and he takes his football very seriously, and I think that it's an excellent decision from Wexford to take on Paul. I think he'll do a great job, because I think he thinks a lot about the game, and even when he was playing, you know, he's a deep thinker about the game, and you know, a rising tide lifts all boats, and I have no doubt but Paul will bring the Wexford team with him and instill a bit of belief into the Wexford team and bring a bit of the passion that he brought to Kerry. I've no doubt he will.
From his point of view, going at a team that like 10 years ago they were in more or less All-Ireland semi-final, 08 actually, to now they're at a very, very low ebb. Is it a small bit of a risk for him?
He's obviously identified that there's a team there, and they're in Division 4, and I suppose there's very little between the teams there, and maybe he thinks that there's a possibility of getting up to 3. So, you know, maybe he's seen something in the team that feels that he can push them on another up a division. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how the year pans out.
And what sort of viewpoint on football would he have? What's his sort of philosophy, if I can put it that way?
Well, all you have to do is look at the way he played. He was honest, he was a hard worker, and I think any team going out, if they have a bit of honesty, a bit of hard work, and Paul will bring that, and you know, he's obviously, he thinks a lot about the game, so tactically he'll be astute, he'll obviously look at the team he has, and he'll figure it out from there, but I'm sure he'll deal with what he has and try and get the most out of his group and see where it takes them.
Thanks very much, Mark.
Cheers, Shane.